Hello and welcome to the Say Yes Movement podcast with Heather. Oh, wait a minute. There's no Heather today. It's John and Tony. Hey, everybody, where we help you with your personal and professional growth, helping you say yes to everything. Hey, Tony, how are you today?
John, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you here on the podcast with us. We're going to be sharing a little bit about your story. But before we go there, the one thing we're going to talk about is our celebrations. It's Friday. Then one of the things we do every Friday is we celebrate our week. And I'll start off because I know, Tony, you're new to this. So I want to ease you into this really gently. So this week I'm celebrating consistency. I'm celebrating conversation. And I'm celebrating working with new clients. Listen, this week's been a great week with great discussions. And it's been beautiful getting out there and just talking to new people and having great new conversations. You know, it's one of the things I love, and it's one of the things I teach people as well. But really, just to get out there and just kind of expand your comfort zone, expand the people that you connect with on a regular basis. All right, Tony, what are you celebrating this week?
Wow, John, I'm only gonna come close to your description. I think I'm gonna keep mine pretty basic. I think I'm celebrating, like I always try to do, the joy of having family around. And my son is in town from Calgary this week, and my daughter-in-law is coming in tonight. So some of my daughters are coming over for dinner. So just having family around and enjoying the time with family is always a huge celebration.
Yeah,
So
actually,
this week, a special week.
yeah. Yeah, no, listen, having family around, we're at the point in our lives where our kids are grown up, right? They're young adults, they're living their own lives.
Absolutely.
And, having the opportunity to all be together, even if they're living at home, sometimes you don't even see them. It's like, wait a minute.
My wife and I are empty nesters, so we celebrate when they come and then we celebrate when they leave, because sometimes after a while it's like, let's get these guys out of here.
I love that. I'm kind of waiting for that moment where we get to be empty nesters, but we're not quite there just yet. Almost. Well, Tony, today is a special edition of the Say Yes Movement podcast because we're going to be talking about something that I do every year, the Ride to Conquer Cancer. And Tony is the captain of our team. He's the team captain of Team Corraggio. Well, I'm going to let you share. Tony, I'm going to let you share a little bit about your story. But before we go there, I just want to let everybody know that, over the last, for me, I've been riding with you guys. This year would be year 7 or year 8. I can't believe it's been that long already. But being a part of this amazing community, being a part of this amazing group of individuals who are really working and building towards something really big, which is to fight cancer, to put an end to cancer, to, find and raise money for cancer research. Now, Tony, I know you've got your story, and I want you to share your story with the Say Yes community. How did you get started with the Ride to Conquer Cancer?
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for obviously the opportunity to share my story. I think you've heard my story many times, but and every time I say it, I think there's different aspects of it that come to my mind in terms of why I did it, or to your point, why I said yes to it. So it was 2007 when I started. So this year I just completed my 17th year, as you know.
Wow.
It'll be 18 years. And that was 2007 was the 10th anniversary of my dad passing with cancer. And he had survived cancer for 13 years. Unfortunately, he died very young at 59. He hadn't even hit his 60th birthday. And I was, candidly, I was sort of going through some challenges in my life mentally, and just, I don't know, I just was losing myself a bit in myself. And I knew that I wanted to do something. And my dad's memory was always there with me. I was thinking about him all the time. And then, and I had just very recreationally started doing some bike riding just to get some exercise. And then one day I was in the car and I heard this inaugural event, Princess Margaret. And my dad had been, obviously, having been 13 years of cancer to, St. Joseph Hospital and Princess Margaret were the two main hospitals that he was at being treated. So the event came on the radio. I was in the car and it was like, hey, we're doing an inaugural event, 2-day, 100-kilometer bike ride. I mean, literally, I was recreational. I'm talking about, like, I don't know, less than 5 kilometers, maybe twice a week. I would go out and just do a little bit of riding. So I got home and it just struck me. I thought, wow, I think I need to do this. So I went home to my wife, and you talk about saying yes. And I said to her, I have a crazy idea. I said, I heard about this ride for the Princess Margaret. I think I want to do it. And she's the one that encouraged me and just said, you should. If you think you want to do it, why don't you do it? Well, I don't know if I can do it. And she said, of course you can, just whatever. So, and anyway, so she gave me that impetus to go ahead and do it. And I mean, that's how I started. You know, the question you asked is how I started. So the first year I did it on my own, and it was a very emotional, needless to say, a very emotional day. It was exhausting. It was, in the end, it was extremely rewarding and fulfilling, but it was probably the deepest emotions I felt. Like the last, I'm going to say the last 10 kilometers, I couldn't even, like, I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Sorry. So back in those days, was it just one day or was it a 2-day event?
No, it was a 2-day event. It was a 2-day event. Yeah. We were back in those days, not like we do today. As you know, today we sleep in a nice hotel, bed. When my brothers joined our team, my oldest brother, Dino, he's more resilient, but my younger brother, Enzo, is a little prima donna. So camping sleep, as you know.
You know, one of the things I love about our team. Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say we slept in the tents, I think, for maybe 1 or 2 years, and then Enzo said, "If I'm doing this again, not a chance of my sleeping in the tent."
Listen, to tell you the truth, and I'll be honest, I've never slept in the tents in all the years that I've done it. Because I've always had family come down like in the middle of or at the end of the second day, and then because I did the ride for the first couple of times on my own, right?
Yeah.
And my wife Diane, she would come down and we would go to a hotel. I wasn't going to make her sleep in a tent,
Yeah.
So I don't even know what that experience is like, but I hear it's interesting. It's an interesting experience, but it is a big party too, right? Because everybody's sleeping in tents and everybody's having a great time. Yeah. So, Tony, that's beautiful. And this is what I love, right? There's a banter on the team that goes back and forth, but it's a friendly banter. You talk about your brother Enzo, everybody. It's a very diverse team. So how did your team all come together? Like, I think this year we hit 25 people, or 25 is what we had a total size. But how did you grow from like 1, 2, 3 to where we are today?
You know what, John? I think that's one of the things that I look back on is probably one of my biggest sense of pride and accomplishment is that I think not knowing it at the time, and maybe this is for everyone, right? When you do something, you're doing it for yourself, but you don't realize that sometimes without even thinking about it, you're inspiring others to do something. And I think that's what just happened, right? So the first day, the first ride that I did, as I mentioned, I did it on my own, and I got back, as you know, we do Hamilton, the pit stop, then the next day, and I got back after the bus from Niagara. They bring you back to downtown Toronto, and my brother Dino came to pick me up. And they were like, him and my brother Enzo and like my whole family, they were, tracking me during the ride. I was sending updates, I was sending pictures. They were like very supportive of what was going on. But then he came to pick me up and he said, well, how was it? And I said, it was amazing. And then I explained the whole thing to him, and I was like very pumped. And I just shared the whole thing with him. And I think at that moment, he probably thought, oh, I should do it. I don't think he actually committed to it at that moment. But that was it. I think the next year my brother Dino joined, and then as you know, it just continued to grow. Like friends of mine joined. Eventually, Enzo, my other brother, joined. As you know, our team is phenomenal, right? We have friends, we have family members, we have children. Some of my children are riding. Other team members' children are riding as well. It's just a collection of friends and family that is just unbelievable. And I think it was in year 5 that up until year 5, I don't think we necessarily had a team name, but I think it was my 5th year that we started with the jerseys and the team name, and then it just started to.
Yeah, actually, so you've got an interesting story around the name, right? So for those of you that don't know, and I think I've mentioned it before, so if you listen to the podcast, it's Team Corraggio. It's, the English name is Team Courage. But Team Corraggio, where did that come from? It took 5 years to come up with the name. Where did the name come from, Tony?
Yeah, thanks for that question, John. I think it's hard to even describe this one because I think the name, we thought about it. So, it was in honor of the reason why I started the ride was in honor of my dad. And when I think back to like the one or two things that really resonate about what my dad's personality, what his sort of way of living all meant, I remember vividly that every time he was with people and people were in any kind of trouble in their life, whether it was an illness, whether it was any kind of challenge that they were experiencing, he was always the individual that was trying to motivate them and inspire them. And that was the one word that he used nonstop. He would always put his hand on their back, or if he was in a hospital bed, he would hold their hand and he would just say, Corraggio, Corraggio. So he would just try to encourage them to have the courage to basically meet life's hardships with courage, with some, as you look up the definition, with some mental and fortitude and some faith and whatever you believe in, but just some courage that it's going to be okay, and whatever happens in life is just part of your life experience. So that's why we named it. That's why we named it Corraggio. And then interestingly enough, I think it was last year I spoke at an event at work, and I told this story. And when I reflected on it, because we were talking about it was called our CX heroes, or in our case at work, it's our customer experience, because that's what we do. Yeah. But we were talking about heroes, and we were relating it back to our personal heroes in life. And so I talked a bit about my dad, but when I was writing the script for what I was going to present, I realized that it's not actually just him, that the word resonates very well with my mom as well, because my mom lost my dad. Now it's been 27 years that he's been gone. So, and she's had the courage to live. She was same as him. She was 59 years old, right? She's courageously lived on her own for the last 27 years. So, I think both of our parents, my two brothers and I, we look up to them as role models, inspirations in our lives, and so I've made it my role in life to continue their legacy through Team Corraggio.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I love the way it rolls off the tongue too. Team Corraggio.
Yeah.
It's just
if I can say the word, the munja cakes, which are the non-Italians on our team, as you know, my brother-in-laws specifically, they call it Team Corraggio.
Corraggio, yeah. It's it's interesting because we've kind of built, over the years, the team itself has built some notoriety in the ride, right? Like they know who we are, they know the jerseys, they know the shirts. And it's, to me, I always find it incredibly special when you ride by somebody and it's like, hey, it's Team Corraggio. Depending if you're looking at the front or the back, right? Because if you're looking at the front as you're coming in, and I've worn the jersey to events, I do triathlons.
Yep.
And, it's interesting when I come in and I come to the finish line, it's like, hey, it's John from Courage. It's such a special moment, right?
Yeah.
So the team's made up of like a variety of different people now. You got your friends, your cousins, you got the kids. We talked about this on an earlier episode in May, talking about the next gen and what they're doing for us and how they're pushing and driving us. Because this year we had a new addition on the team. And at 27, he's a cancer survivor. And for those that don't know, we have 3 cancer survivors that ride with us, because what we were able to do with the Princess Margaret is really find and fund the research that allows people to live longevity. And I know today it's very different, right? Cancer isn't, I think you said it in a talk at one point, like cancer is no longer a death sentence, right? Like there's a survival rates for cancer, I believe, are like 60 or 70 or 80%. It's a really high number now compared to what it was when, even just a decade ago, right?
Yeah, no, like you said, John, we have, as you know, we have 3 cancer survivors on our team. One of them is my friend Steve, who I've known for, I got to do the math, 12 years old. Was that 49 years?
Wow.
So we go way back. and we're best friends. And so he's on the team. Obviously, he's one of the cancer survivors. The two other individuals, actually, his son is the other one that you mentioned, the 27-year-old, and then Lorenzo's our third cancer survivor. So, and in addition to that, as you said, we have, I don't know if you mentioned, but we also have the privilege of Steve brought on his doctor, his surgeon, Dr. from the Princess Margaret. And he loves riding. I'll speak on his behalf because he's told us directly. He loves riding with us on day 2. Wears our jersey on day 2 because the first day he's got to ride with the Princess Margaret group.
Yeah,
crosses the line with us. So it's a special moment when you have. It makes it all so real, right? Like you ride for the ride, you ride for the memories of the people that we've lost, those that are fighting. But then when you have the people that are actually the survivors on your team, you're like, you realize how impactful, like the fundraising, which is, fundraising, I think, is one of the main reasons, obviously the main reason why we do it. But everything that happens around it, the friendships that we build, the camaraderie, like hopefully the inspiration that we give to others, I think that's just comes naturally as part of the ride. Yeah, I know it's the same for you. It's definitely the highlight weekend of the year for me. Look, when my kids get married or whatever, those are more.
Those are your highlights, yes. But outside of that, though,
in terms of the repeated event of the year, like this is the event of the year that's like always the highlight weekend that you look forward to.
Yeah, no, listen, for me too, I kind of plan my summer schedule around the ride, right? Like nothing happens. Like, we already know second week in June, we're doing the ride, and that's just it, right? Like it's at this point in my household, it's not even a discussion anymore. Right. We want to go on vacation, it's before or after, but
exactly. One of our two, my daughter and my niece next year are getting married, and when they were picking their dates, it's like, guys, you can't do the second weekend in June, right? So you pick whatever other date you want, but not that weekend.
So funny. So this year we're doing something a little bit different, right? So up until this point, how much money has the team raised for cancer research? Because what I do love about the Ride to Conquer Cancer is we actually see the outcomes of what this research has given us through the survivors, through the people that are with us. And that even outside of the survivors that we have on our team, the people that ride with us, people in our families, right? Like members who with us have had family members that have cancer survivors in their family. I know I do. I have a cancer survivor in my family because of the work at Princess Margaret. So this year, what has the team raised in totality up until this point, Tony?
Yeah, so when I started tracking it, so as I mentioned, the sort of team name happened in year number 4 or 5. I can't remember exactly, but when we look back in our lifetime, our team, starting from when I started year 1 and then up till now, we've had 57 riders come across our group that have worn our jersey, and that have ridden with us and worn our jersey. And as you said, typically in the last few years, we're always up and around that 20, 22, 23, whatever range of riders, depending on people's schedules and stuff. But in totality, we've raised $825,000. And as you know, our goal is to hit our first million milestone.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where it takes us from there. But you got to hit the first million before you start thinking about the next one, right?
Yeah, and we're not that far away. $175,000 is all we really need to raise. And and it's interesting because you might think of it, and we every year we do pretty good, right? We raise anywhere between, and we're a small team, right? 20, 25 people max. And we're raising between 75 to, I think this year was $90,000, right?
Yeah, we were just over 90,000 this year.
Yeah. So, we're making it a mission and a goal for 2025 to hit that $1 million mark. And part of the reason why I wanted to bring Tony on to the Say Yes Movement podcast, because he said yes to this thing, 17 years ago, saying yes to the ride, saying yes to cancer research, saying yes to the honor of his dad. This year we're pushing a little bit further, and we're going to go for that 175 so we can hit that 1 million mark before the end of 2025, because I know what that'll do for our families in terms of just providing more funds for the Princess Margaret to be able to do more of that research, to create more opportunities. Tony and I, before we got on the call, we talked about people say, where's the cure? Well, we're going to get there, but we've given people a cure that gives them a lot more life now because of what's happened with the research that we're doing. So that is what we are on a mission to do. And, before the ride in June of 2025, the goal is to raise $1 million. So for those of you that are listening in and that have hopefully been inspired by the stories, not just, Tony's stories, but just, and I'm sure, listen, there's so many people out there today that get impacted and touched by cancer, and we see it, right? Like, it's just, the numbers are I forget what the numbers are, 1 in 5 or 1 in 6, right? Like, it's a very low number. 1 in 6 people get impacted by cancer. Yeah. We're looking for that support. So if you're interested in supporting us, Team Corraggio, in achieving the $1 million mark, I would love your support. There's ways of doing that. Tony, if people wanted to get a hold of us, or if people wanted to get a hold of you personally to, provide sponsorship, provide support, how could they do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, John, look, we donate through the website for the Princess Margaret Ride to Conquer Cancer to the cause. We have team members there, so people are more than welcome to donate directly there. But I think if they want to get in touch with you or I, we can sort of help them, direct them what makes most sense. We are trying to sort of raise it as a team. And to your point, you're stretching me. I thought we were going to be 2 years away from the million, but I like your attitude. I think we can do it this year. So we're very hopeful. Looking forward to it.
The way I think of it, Tony, is the quicker we get to the million, the more lives we're saving and the more impact we're creating. And I don't know if you know my personal mission with the Say Yes Movement podcast and all the things I do, but the goal is to impact 1 million people positively. And this is one of the ways to do that. Right? Nice. So if we can get more people surviving, being more cancer survivors, whether they're joining the team or just, survivors around us, that's the impact that I'd love to leave. Right. So,
yeah. And you know what, John, I just want to go back to what you said. Like, we talk about a cure. I think before you and I got on, we talked about it. Like, there are so many great news stories about people that have had cancer, that have battled, that have got treatment from not only Princess Margaret, but all the great hospitals, not only in Toronto, but everywhere else. And they're living, right? They have great quality of life. They've lived 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So I don't know. I mean, the definition of a cure is, I think, in question for me.
Yeah.
Because I see the examples. I see, people with breast cancer at work, that one of the ladies at our office does that I participate in, and one of my other daughters, we participate in the walk for Conquer Cancer through the Princess Margaret. And she's been surviving it she's cancer free for the last 10 years. Just another example. So yeah, there is a cure, and the money that we raise and other people raise that go to all this research, there's been huge strides forward. I mean, you just listen to any of the doctors that talk about it. There's huge strides forward. So we got to keep doing it.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to leave it out there. And, for those of you that are interested and would love to support our little team in this mission of hitting the $1 million mark, reach out to either Tony and I. I will include his contact information in the comments below so you can take a look. Well, Tony, listen, it's been an honor having you here with us on the Say Yes Movement podcast, sharing your story. It's inspiration. And you know what? I never get tired of hearing your story. I can listen to your story, every day. It's because it's just the inspiration. And like, sometimes, we take the most difficult challenges in our life and they become one of the most inspiring things that we do. And, look at the legacy that you've created over the last 17 years with, something that could have been, not so inspirational, but you've turned it and made it inspirational. So thank you for that. And, thank you. And my gratitude for having or being a part of the team, because now I feel like I'm part of this amazing community of gentlemen and men and women and youngsters that are all kind of working towards the same cause together. So it's beautiful.
John, it's been a privilege talking to you, and you're one of the biggest ambassadors for our team. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you.
I never get tired of telling the story, even though my kids and my family are like, "What are you doing again?" I said, "I'm doing a podcast." And what are you talking about? The Team Corraggio again?
It's all right. You know what? We'll get more of these. We'll get you on more stages, Tony. We're going to get the message out there. We're going to share it with the world. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. Listen, here's your takeaway for today. Heather normally does a call to action. But if you want more information, here's my invitation. Reach out to either Tony and I, and just ask us how you could help, how you could support. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Say Yes Move It podcast. Just remember, when you shift your mindset, you shift your life. Wishing you all a great one. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Tony.